Are you considering a rent to own, or also known as a lease option property? I wanted to take a minute and discuss what a lease option or a rent to own property may look like for you, because we're receiving a lot of inquiries for that. And I don't know that everyone fully understands what that would entail as far as down payment amount, rental payments, and then end purchase price. So basically, if you see something that says it's a rent to own or a lease option, purchase property, what it is you either have just a regular homeowner who's looking to do this, or possibly like an investment group who's doing this. And instead of selling right now outright, where you as the buyer would have to go and get your own financing, whether that's cash or through a mortgage company, they're offering to allow you to rent the property for a year, maybe 2 years, with the option to purchase it at the end of the year or two. So maybe, you've only been at your job a year, maybe you don't have enough income right now, whatever it is, maybe you need to fix up your credit a little bit. So you really want to get into a house now. However, you're not able to get the financing yourself right now. So what you do is you get into a rent to own or a lease option. Now, if I am, let's say, the homeowner and the investor, it obviously has to make sense for me as well. So most of these properties are going to cost a little bit more than what the market rate is right now, with the assumption that hopefully the market does, increase in the next year or two. Because if they sell it for if they agree to today's price, and let's just say it goes up, then, they're losing out on that money. But also it could go down and you're locked into that as well. So there is a risk for you for that. If the market does happen to decline, you're locked in for that number. Now, again, like I just said, that number is probably going to be higher than market value, because they're taking a risk and they're basically offering you this special term in order to own the home, okay? The other thing to consider is that most of these people are going to be asking for a considerable down payment amount. So if you're used to just renting and you're used to maybe first, last security or first and security, you may be looking at $4,000, $6,000, $8,000 or something to get into a new rental property. Most of these owners are going to be looking for something more like $20,000 down, $50,000 down, depending on the price point of the property. So make sure that you have enough money to put down. The other thing to consider is that they're going to be asking for a little bit higher than market rent. And again, it's because they're also giving you an option to purchase it at the end of this time period. So let's just say that the market rent for this house is $2,000 a month. They might be asking $2,200 or $2,400 a month. And they may or may not also be giving you a credit towards the deposit or purchase price in the future. So let me explain that a little bit. So let's just say that they're like, okay, we're going to charge you $2,400 a month, but we're going to allow $200 of that to get credited to when you actually purchase this home. Now, if you don't end up purchasing the home, you lose that initial down payment deposit amount, which could have been $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, and that credit amount, the rent payment, is gone. But if you do exercise your option to purchase the home, then they will be crediting you. And again, this is case by case. Not everyone does a credit. Some do, but they'll be crediting that extra $100, $200 a month off of that purchase price and or off of your down payment when you purchase it. So you'll be getting that back. And then also your deposit will be going towards that purchase as well. But if you do not exercise that option to close, like let's say that you can't get your loan, you lose everything you put down on that house. So when you look at it that way, it can be risky for you, because you don't know what might happen in a year or two. And if you're just in an annual rental, obviously, at the end of the term, your rent could go up or whatever could happen, but at least you didn't lose a big chunk of money. So that will be a risk for a potential buyer. The other thing that a lot of times when I speak with buyers, they don't have $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to put down on the property. So if you don't have that funds, then you're not going to find a rent to own or a lease option that's going to let you get in for those really, really low amounts. If they do, check that end purchase price, because they're going to be making the money somewhere. It's just like when you purchase a home for no money down, or you buy a car with no money down, all that closing cost and prepaids and everything are going to just be added to your loan. It's not like you're really getting it for free. It's just added. So if you're not coming in with money down, they're getting it somewhere else. Just know that you're most likely dealing with a savvy homeowner, or you're dealing with an investment group. Like, they're not just giving homes away, okay? That being said, this is a great option if you're in some kind of transition right now, or you're rebuilding credit, and it helps you lock in something now. And for the benefit of the owner too, because when you're actually considering purchasing the property, you're going to take better care of it. You also need to see what the terms are going to be like, because if you're renting it, here's another thing to consider. If you're just renting, something breaks, you call up your landlord and say, hey, the refrigerator's broken. Well, if you're purchasing it, all that responsibility is going to go on you. So guess what? When the refrigerator breaks, it's up to you to get it repaired or replaced. So you're acting as if you're owning the home yourself. Now, the owner, until you actually purchase it at the end of that year or 2 years, they will be, keeping paying the taxes and insurance, but it probably is going to be charged to you anyways, but they'll be actually paying that. But as the, occupant of the home, you're going to want to have tenant insurance. You're going to want to make sure that you're maintaining the property. All that's going to be on you. So if you don't think that in the next year or two you're going to be in, a dramatically better, different position, a straight rental might make more sense for you. Just go ahead and get it into another annual rental. Rents have come down a little bit this last year, so you might have been looking last year and it's $2,200. We can probably find you something now for $1,800. Again, like, there are, cheaper rentals, but if you're looking for that lease option purchase, you're going to be paying a premium to get into that property. There's also seller financing, not available a lot. Most of the seller financing deals that I come upon, the owner is asking for, a substantial down payment, like maybe 30% or 50% in order to hold that paper. So a seller financing deal would be, let's say I'm the homeowner. Let's say the house is worth $300,000 and I don't have a mortgage on it, and I want to sell it, to you. And maybe I say, okay, I'll sell it to you for, $320,000. And, I'm going to hold a mortgage. So you're going to pay a mortgage to me. And, it might be amortized over a 30-year payment. So we'll do the math on that. And you take ownership at closing, and then you're just paying me as if you would pay your lender or your bank each month until it's paid off. Now, there could be a prepayment penalty, or it could say you can pay it off with no prepayment penalty. So let's say that, you're doing this maybe because you also can't get a loan right now. And then let's just say in a year you can get a loan, and you're like, I want to, get a regular loan and pay off this homeowner. Then you could do that then, and they'll give you the payoff amount. And it's just like dealing with the bank, only you're dealing with an individual. But you want to make sure that that individual doesn't have a loan on the property, or if they do, that's accounted for. Make sure there's no crazy liens on the property or anything like that, because if they have another loan on that property, they're not going to be able to fully convey it over to you. They might try to do something like, put it in a trust and then show you that, you're having ownership through that trust. But if you want to have it like officially a warranty deed going to you, it's going to be a closing, and they're going to have to provide you with clear title. Those are little intricacies that you need to be aware of in this market. We're going to probably see more creative kind of things like seller financing and or lease purchases, just because the market has changed, in this last year or so. But if you are a tenant right now and you're looking to get a home, first, I would suggest that you really make sure that you can, get some sort of regular financing, because there are some really great deals out there. There are some first-time home buyer programs. FHA is 3.5% down, plus you're going to have some closing costs, which a lot of times we can go and ask the seller to help you with those, so that you're not coming so much out of pocket. And the prices have gone down, so getting something in this market could be, very advantageous, versus if you rent a year, I don't know where the property is going to be. I don't have my crystal ball, and I've been telling people, probably if we have a really, quiet hurricane season and, no crazy insurance issues or anything like that, the property values are going to start ticking back up. But if we happen to have something major happen, which none of us can control, then they may stay stagnant or they could even go down. So again, we don't know what's going to happen. I can just show you what's happening now and, what's happened in the past to help you make a decision. And everyone's a little different. Some people, it may make more sense to wait for a year or two, to purchase. And other people, it might make more sense to do it now. And this is, again, whether you're a first-time home buyer, you're, a snowbird moving down, you're going to go back and forth, you're, literally relocating here. Whatever situation you're in, or you're an investor and you're thinking of renting a property, we can help show you those numbers and what it's going to look like, because especially if you're from somewhere else as well, because we get a lot of people and they just don't understand the maintenance and monthly holding costs of properties here. I will say it's really, really cool here because we have like service providers for everything. So if you don't want to do your lawn, your pool, your pest control, all those things, you can have people handle for you, especially if you're not here full time. But it does cost something. It's not like those things are, free. So if you're, budget minded, it might not make sense for you to pay out all that money. And you may have never thought about pool care because you didn't have a pool, or you may not have thought about, how often lawn care because, you didn't live where it poured all summer. So those are kind of just things to think about, but we would love to help you. But I did just want to clarify this because we're getting a lot of people that are asking for rent to own and maybe don't quite understand that initial payment amount and the idea of a higher purchase price and a higher rental monthly price. So if that still looks like something that you would be interested in, we do have a few of those available. But again, we would love to make sure that we check to see if you could actually buy now and then look at those properties that you're getting at today's market value and not an inflated price if you're able to. Just know that having special options and considerations are going to cost you one way or another. If we can be of assistance, let me know. Again, I'm the broker and owner here at Florida Future Realty. Have plenty of agents that can help you. You can go on our website, floridafuturerealty.com. You can set up an account, start searching for homes. You can see market conditions. You can see what's for sale, what's sold. You can read the bios on our agents to kind of get an idea of, who you might want to work with. And again, that's floridafuturerealty.com. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Hope to hear from you soon.